right, welcome everyone to the Paketo weekly working group meeting. I'm really glad to see you all here and see more folks joining right now. So let me put here again link to the agenda and notes. Feel free to have anything you would like to discuss or ask under the open mic discussion topics section. And with that, let's get started. Also, yeah, consider adding yourself to the attendees list, including your affiliation. That would be helpful. There you go. Right. So, does anyone want to take notes for this session? Wants to volunteer? I can do it if there is no objection. Great. New faces. I see some new faces joining today. So let's get started with Logan. Would you mind briefly introducing yourself? Welcome.
Hi, I'm Logan. I'm a software engineer at Rapid7. I'm just here listening today for Jericho.
Awesome. Thank you for joining.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, I'd say Chris Doughty.
Yeah, I'm Chris Doughty. Like Logan, also here, just listening for Jericho.
Awesome. Jericho team here. That's great. Thank you for joining. We're really glad to see you here. All right. Okay, yeah. So with that, I think we can move to the next item in the agenda. All right, so let's review briefly outstanding RFCs. First one, the RFC of the proposal to publish images to ECR. The most recent update was that Emily, the author of this proposal, plans to update this RFC. So I don't know if besides that, there's been any other update around this proposal. All right, so let's see, we'll need to reach out to Emily. Let me update here. You can find updates or comments to the RFCs in the PR themselves. There you go. Okay, next one. The RFC to include libs to tiny or libraries to tiny that are needed for nodes. Long discussion here. And the most recent update was to proceed with this RFC. Also related to another proposal, the static or scratch stack. Is there any additional comment or update about this RFC?
Yeah, the static stack RFC was approved last week and merged in. So I think that was the one thing that we wanted to see for this RFC. So we can, as the comment says, we can move forward. People can start leaving their final reviews if everyone's good on this.
Okay. Great. So yeah, please consider giving a last read and providing your reviews if or comments if needed. Right. Next up, an RFC about builder config. Yeah, this one was authored by Sam. And it has a relationship with some ideas gaining traction upstream. When we say upstream, we refer to the cloud native Buildpacks project. So yeah, probably it's still on hold, right? Because I haven't seen any or much update on this initiative in the CMB project. Wondering if there's any other comment about this proposal. No. All right. Here. Okay. The last one. The new dependency strategy for .NET. It had some recent updates from Forest. So again, is there any update or comment you like to add to this proposal?
I think this was for a while blocked on implementing a new build pack that was going to install one of the dependencies that's proposed here, but that build pack has since been written. I'm pretty sure. I don't know, Sophie, is that all merged and stuff, or what's the status of that?
Yeah, so the PR that Forrest put in to change the checksum went out in packet 2.5. And then I think that there's still an open PR on the JAM repository to also deal with that new field. And then once that's all released, and we should be good to start consuming that.
So I think we can, like as .NET maintainers, we can look back at this one and possibly approve it quite soon.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Any other comment, question about RFCs? Right. So next up, CMV update and or question. Is there any update or question referring the upstream project you'd like to share here?
The support Docker files RFC upstream was finally approved. I'm trying to pull it up right now, or at least find the tracking issue for implementation. Just a moment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Frankie.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. I feel like that has been approved for like a while, but that there's like an issue that like, I think it's Natalie's been working on it. And I think she's actually really close to like a full implementation.
That's possible. Here's the issue. Oh yeah, maybe I just got a new notification on the already merged RFC. That sounds accurate.
Awesome. Thank you, Frankie. All right. Anything else regarding upstream? Nope. Okay. All right. Next up, project update. Besides any other update you'd like to share here, I saw an utility that recently Josh introduced it. Let me put the Slack thread here. Josh, you call it order group visualizer. So I don't know if you wanted to briefly share this with the community out there. I'll put a link to the Slack thread that has examples.
Sure. So within the language family build packs, there's often multiple order groups, which are like basically a sequence of build packs that can run to produce an application geared around some particular but perhaps build technology for that language family. So for example, PHP has various order groups. Some of them might have Composer or not, or perhaps the web server build pack, meta build pack can have order groups that might include Nginx as the web server technology or HTTPD as the web server technology. But a lot of these order groups will have like common build packs within them to do utility kinds of things. So adding certs into the container, or adding live reload capability into the container. And so when you look at the order groups, there's often quite a few build packs in them, perhaps 8 or 10 or more. And it's not always obvious exactly what that particular order group is meant to do, as opposed to all of the other order groups. And so this utility is meant to help explain the specific functionality that one order group is supposed to do, as opposed to another order group. There's a few different ways that you can have it like print out some information about this, but its main goal is just to help you get a sense of what these different order groups are doing in relationship to each other. The Slack thread has an example in it. And so for this one, this is the web servers build pack. So looks like there are 6 order groups, and only the unique build packs within each order group are then printed out here. So you get a sense of like, what are the utility build packs, CA certificates, watch exec, environment variables, and image labels. But you get a sense that like order group 1 is going to be yarn plus nginx, order group 2 is npm plus nginx, 3 is yarn plus httpd, and so on. So you get exactly what that order group is meant to do, as opposed to the other order groups. So PRs or issues welcome. I know there's already been some feedback in the thread. I haven't had a lot of time to respond to all the feedback, but if you have them, or if you have other use cases for this idea, please comment on the thread or comment on the repo.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. Thank you for putting it together. Right. Any question? Any comment? Okay. I already put the link for the thread in the notes. And again, PRs, comments are welcome. All right. Next up, we have a really interesting update coming from our friends at Rapid7. But first, I wanted to process a really quick topic before we open the floor for our folks from Rapid7. Is the working group meeting schedule. The majority of the team here responded to the doodle poll, and the consensus was around moving the working group meeting to Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, if I remember correctly. Let me see. Yeah, 11 a.m. Eastern Wednesdays. That's for the majority. So I see, for example, that Jericho wasn't able to attend every week, and you know how a schedule it's hard to have a schedule that actually work for everyone. So the most recent idea we had around this was to have an alternating schedule. I mean, hold the working group meeting in this exact date and time a week, and next week happen Wednesdays 11 a.m. Eastern. The main goal is to have more EU or EMEA friendly time. So I don't know if having an alternating schedule is something we like to do. If you consider that we should open a new poll to decide on this, or if we finally settle on having the meeting every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Just wanted to bring it up and know your thoughts briefly on this. I want to reach the decision soon so we can communicate it widely and make it simple.
It's like I would appreciate to always to also keep like this time. On the other hand side, I think I'm kind of the only one that will not make it for Wednesdays. but I won't. For me, that's family time. So it's not so much about EMEA time. It's just after work before my children go to bed.
Mhm.
So it is actually a good time spot, I guess, for EMEA, but
Mhm.
just for like, but anyway, I will then collaborate more offline or try to figure out with whom I should meet ad hoc if there's something specific to talk about. Because I think if I follow that Slack thread, I'm basically the last one left that said, yeah, that doesn't fit my schedule. So,
Yeah, so
but yeah,
far,
I
but
would appreciate something else, but I can also understand if you move it to like a time frame that is more EMEA friendly. I get that point, right?
yeah, but don't feel bad. But thank you for bringing it up, the topic of EMEA friendly times. Probably in the future there will be some other user, or right now there is some other user who also have the same conflict. So probably having an alternating schedule will help, not only for you or for some other community members. So probably I can run a last poll to see what yeah, to gauge the what you all think, and we can reach to a decision soon. So I think that's what I do, unless there is any objection. We can move to the next
Thanks.
item. And thank you again, Ian. Right. Okay, there you go. So I see Jericho, the show and tell for the Python issued for all stacks. You want to share your screen?
Yeah, that'd probably be easier, and then I'll just go through
Yeah.
everything. Okay, cool. Okay, so first I just want to say thank you for everybody for kind of like helping this all come together. I know Rob's not on this call, but he was like instrumental in making all this happen. So he wanted me to kind of just do a little show and tell, explaining like how it came about, so that others could see, you know, like the process. So I'll start by saying that the reason I even started looking at this was I was looking at a Python app that was being built from a Docker file. And, you know, I just asked myself, what if I couldn't build this on Ubuntu? You know, what if it had to be Alpine or Red Hat or whatever? And so I kind of initially just tried to kind of figure out how can I build using Buildpacks. And I went and looked at the Buildpack source code and looked at the Buildpack TOML file for CPython. And I saw that it wasn't supported on non-Ubuntu stacks. So I went and started kind of digging in to try to figure out, first of all, how do you build a Python app on these other operating systems? And if you're not going to install from the, you know, like Yum package manager or Alpine package managers, and you're basically going to compile from source. So I started looking at the official Docker image for Python just to see what they were doing. So they're doing some configuration and compiling. And then I actually joined this meeting and was inquiring about that, on how you guys actually create your Python dependency. And Rob provided me some information right here, which looked very similar. And Josh also provided some information here, which at the time I didn't quite understand how this all made sense, but I could see, you know, you're doing, again, the same thing, you're configuring Python. So, you know, it all seemed very simple. I just said, well, we just need to compile from source if we're not going to install with this dependency. So I went and looked at, you know, doing that manually. I got it to work. It was not a problem. And then I decided, all right, well, you know, what if I had to write my own build pack? And I've already done this example here. And I've actually, you know, built a couple of shell script build packs, and, you know, they work well, but I didn't want to do that because you guys already have all this logic and tested functionality for Python. So I said, I really would rather just take advantage of that. It's already working, well tested, and it would just be much easier. So I didn't know Go at the time. So I went and did a little bit of research on Go and some learning. And then I went to this Packet tutorial here. Actually, I went to here first, I should say. I created the build pack using this tutorial, which was really helpful. And I got it to work. And then afterwards, I basically started a Slack thread where I just said, hey, here's something I put together. I don't know if it's useful or not. My intention initially, I didn't expect you guys to want to actually merge this. So I just kind of forked it and planned to use it ourselves, you know, if we needed to separately. And the feedback was positive. So I was able to work with Rob to kind of like turn my prototype example into one that actually conforms to, you know, the way you're building the build packs and, you know, following, you know, using an interface so you could easily test and mock it out. So, you know, originally it started with just a couple of changes. You know, I don't have to go through all the code, but like basically I created an installer Go file and I updated the build pack toml file and I actually added all this stuff in here that Rob later was saying we don't want to do it in here. So thankfully I got a lot of input from Rob and just in general from the Paketo community. So with that input, I was able to kind of go back and forth and update it so that it's, you know, in line with the way you're building the build packs today. And also he helped me understand how the tests work so that I was able to update the test code. So, I mean, for me, it was a really good experience to understand how the build packs are built. And also it was nice to actually give back because I don't know if you've had people say, yeah, we need this specifically, but it's something that I think is going to happen either sooner or later. So I just figured it might as well be something that we implement. So yeah, really, I just want to kind of like show like the thought process and how it came about. And then this issue, let's see, this is the source code, but sorry, this issue right here, this was actually made after the fact, after that CPython build pack was edited. And then I went through, I guess this is actually helpful. I created Docker images for all the build packs that needed to be edited. So like all of these. And basically I just went and changed the build pack toml file on each one and just tried it. Like the first thing I did was just try it without changing any code. And for a bunch of them, it worked. And for, I think Poetry, I had to change one piece, but this is kind of like a trial and error situation. And a lot of it ended up being a lot easier than I had expected after the CPython build pack was updated. So yeah, I mean, it was a good process, good learning experience. There is kind of one open item, and that is like these tests are using a Docker image that's on my personal repo, which I'm going to leave there. But if you guys want to in the future have something, you know, like a non-Ubuntu stack that you want to use for testing, you know, maybe that's something you want to host somewhere else or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like really, I just wanted to kind of like show that and give everybody an opportunity to ask questions if there are any.
I would have one.
Yep.
You add a star stack. Does it run on Tiny?
For Python, I don't know. I haven't tested it. In fact,
I'm just asking.
Yeah, I stayed away from Tiny because I don't know. I didn't really look at what the things were available in the build image, but it's possible. I mean, if you can run a Python app on Tiny, then in theory it should be fine because the build image would still be able to build Python and compile all your stuff. So it's a good question. It's possible.
The build images for Tiny and Base are identical. So if you can build it on Base, then it should build on Tiny. The question is if Tiny ultimately results in dynamic linkage to shared object files that no longer exist on that run image, then that could be an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a repo that has like, you know, this Amazon Linux stack, which installs very similar packages to what you do for Base. But the run image, I think, has more. But basically you could make like a tiny variant and etc. But I mean, really, like what we're talking about here is you got your own stack that you've created, and then you're using it that way. So if you wanted it to be a tiny stack, you could make that happen, because like what this allows you to do is basically run on any stack other than Paketo's Ubuntu stack.
Great, thanks. Yeah, context was this other RFC that that is currently running to add some things that are required for Node to Tiny to make a good bunch of Node applications run there, and that could be interesting, right? Because that's the closest to distroless that we that we would currently have, and base is much larger. So that's just the background for that. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your journey. It was really interesting. What made you choose Paketo?
So that's a good question. When I started looking at building containers, Paketo was like what was presented to me, and I was shown Buildpacks, and so I just basically dived into the Paketo ecosystem from the beginning. I kind of assumed Paketo was cloud native Buildpacks at first, and then I had to kind of understand that they're actually two separate things, but they're working together, obviously. So Paketo was kind of like the example that we were going from, and it's a very mature set of tools to build containers. So it made sense to use that.
Thanks.
Yep. Cool. So I'll stop sharing unless there's any other questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Jericho. Is there any other question? Yeah, well, I have one. From your experience so far, what will be one thing you would like to find in Paketo documentation that you probably feel is missing or is not properly explained?
It's a good question. Probably the reason you use interfaces and pass processes into the build, like maybe just how you test the build packs, but that might be something that somebody with Go experience can figure out just by looking at it. Sometimes like too much information up front is more confusing than helpful. So I actually found the how to create a build pack using Packet to be super easy to follow, and from there I was able to get something to work. And then the last hurdle was like making the tests actually work, but that I had no experience using like the testing framework that is being used with Go, so I had to ask a lot of questions. But yeah, I mean, it was getting input from you as the community was really helpful. So if you keep doing that, I think everybody wins. So thank you.
No, thanks to you. I mean, feedback is a gift. So thank you for coming here and sharing what you've learned. All right. Any other question, Jericho?
I have one. Are you using any Paketo built images in production for Rapid 7 right now? Or is that still to come after all the stacks work? Or the dependencies work, sorry.
Yeah, so we're doing a ton of like research and development, because part of what we're doing is seeing how building containers with Paketo compares to Docker files, because a lot of developers build things a certain way. And so what we're trying to do is come up with you're doing it this way today, and tomorrow if you use Buildpacks, this is the nice easy path. So we're still kind of like in the development phase of it, but once we do get into production, and we do plan to like actually give some feedback if you wanted to hear about it.
For sure, that'd be great. Yeah, and especially if you don't use Paketo produced images in production, we'd love to hear about why, and if there's a gap there that we could you know, enhance the features with.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to like have this kind of dialogue, because I can see that from previous Slack and PRs, when developers reach out, you guys actually do help and help people get back to the project if something's missing. So it's I don't see gaps being a huge issue. It's more about you know, like the developer experience and all that good stuff. So yeah, I think we should have a better story in the near future.
David, you're muted if you were saying something.
Great. Thank you, Frank. Yeah, again, considering that there is more Rapid 7 team members here, I had a last question. We've seen that Rapid 7 main business had to do with cybersecurity. Well, that's what we see in the website. So we were wondering if you have explored so far how Paketo can help you build secure images. The recent addition of the S-bomb feature or reproducible images.
Those are good questions. I don't know that I have a great answer for you. I think honestly, the support that you guys have given us and Jericho has been fantastic so far. So I think with time there may be, you know, more features that we look into, but I think at present, you know, the support we've been getting and the availability of help and you know, the open source tooling has been fantastic. So I think that so far it's been great.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much for your contributions. Cool. Great. All right. Is there any other topic, any other update or question you may ask right now? General? Nope. Okay, with that, thank you all for your time and hope you see you in the next one.
Thank you. See ya.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.